Hi everyone, Liam Pitchford. I would love to play MLTT because I want to help grow table tennis. I think the best way to do that is to make it big in America. Help it blossom into the sports like basketball over there, baseball, and the big sports. I would love to see that happen.
I'm Benedict, and the reasons why I want to play in MLTT is because I love the US. I like this draft system. I never played it. This is completely new for me. And I like what I've seen on the social media so far. It looks exciting, it's new, it's super cool. I like the system.
I would like to play in MLTT because for me it's going to be a new experience. I've been playing international tournaments, ITTF or WTT for the last 15 years. So I kind of need new challenges, new experiences, and I've heard nothing but good things about the league. So I'm really looking forward.
Hello, my name is Simon Kim from South Korea. I want to play in MLTT because last year in November I've been to US for Dota Team Championships and it was a really nice experience for me. I really love how the people treat me and how the people support me. There were a lot of spectators, so it was really nice atmosphere to play in the venue.
Hi everyone, I'm Carlo Rossi from Italy and I'm registered for the upcoming season in the Major League Table Tennis, waiting for the draft and hoping to be picked, of course. First of all, I like a lot the system. I was following all the first season and I enjoyed a lot. Generally, I like a lot the team competitions and the chemistry you can create in one team, and the fact that in the golden game is everyone standing there and that every set of any teammates is counting for the win.
And that's just a handful of the hundreds of talented table tennis players from all around the world who are hoping to hear their names called today. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 2024 Major League Table Tennis Draft. My name is Evan Lepler. I had the privilege of broadcasting MLTT's inaugural season over the past year, and it's great to be back alongside my partner, the Hall of Famer Sean O'Neill. Once again, Sean, it is a big day for the league, and it's a big day for players around the world. But the 8 franchises starting to build today toward their second season, whether you're the champion Texas Smash or one of the other 7. The race for next year's MLTT Cup starts today, and it will be a critical and memorable day on the journey.
No, definitely the coaches have their work cut out for them. No easy picks. We've got a huge range of just world-class players that they can choose from, but they're going to have to be on the ball because as teams grab the top players, they're going to have to change and shift and think about matchups, whether it's doubles, whether it's singles, whether it's availability. So it should be a great draft coming right now.
And we saw over the course of the first season that Major League Table Tennis redefined MLTT and the sport around the world with a new format. Each team match consisting of 4 singles matchups, 1 doubles match, all 3 being games to 11, and then all culminating in the golden game. Each game in the first 15 games are worth 1 point each. And then the golden game was just a brand new, reinvigorating thing for the sport. And it will only get better as the future comes. Sean, we've got some off-season news to discuss as we get into today's proceedings. We need to talk about a new coach, the Bay Area Blasters, signing Tim Wong, who played for the Chicago Wind this year, to be the new head coach for the Bay Area squad. We also had a trade between Portland and Seattle, a couple of top picks from last year getting swapped. And then we also had the draft lottery that puts the Florida Crocs in position to make the number 1 pick. As we look at the board that's coming up, you see the players that have been retained. Officially, there were 64 players, Sean, drafted last year. 33 of them have re-signed deals to return, which means there'll be 31 picks made today. That's a lot of news that I just threw at you. What stands out the most before we get today's draft started?
Well, really just the comparison and the contrast between the Revolution and the Wind. Revolution almost keeping the entire team, where the Wind has a lot of picking to do. They don't have any American players. They don't have any females. So both of those teams are going to really be jockeying for positions to make their teams complete going into, hopefully, for both of them, playoffs.
Yeah, the Princeton Revolution will only be making 2 draft picks today because they retained 6 of their 8 players from a year ago. And as you said, Chicago and Portland, each with 5 slots to fill. The process of players applying to the draft from all around the world was really incredible. We have nearly 300 players from that weren't in the league last year signed up, and also some players that were not retained have re-entered the draft pool and are available to be taken. And this is truly an international field with players from over 50 countries. It's going to be fascinating to watch. With that, I want to welcome in the commissioner of Major League Table Tennis, Flint Lane. Good afternoon. This a year ago was done in a very different way, but now we are live to the world. And there are some new rules for 2024, 2025 that MLTT is instituting that I want you to try and make clear to everybody what is changing and what coaches might be thinking heading into this year's draft. Mr. Commissioner, you need to hit unmute.
Of course I do that. Thank you, Evan. Thank you, Sean. And I'm supposed to be a tech guy. Really impressive. Yeah, so when we started Major League Table Tennis a little over 15 months ago, we knew that we had to breathe some fresh air into this sport and make it exciting for the American public. So we've innovated around a lot of different things, whether it's the golden points, where first 1 to 11 wins, whether it's the golden game, which is ultimately deciding most of the matches. And season 2 will be no different. We have a number of changes that we'll be instituting that we think will advance the sport even further. The first and probably the biggest rule change is the women players will be playing singles. Often in season 1, the women wound up playing only doubles, and we don't think that's a good look for the sport. So you'll see more women in action playing singles. That's probably the biggest change. We've also given some more flexibility to the coaches. They may select any players to play singles and doubles of their 6 players who travel with the team, as long as the woman plays singles. They could have 5 players playing singles and doubles, or 6 players playing singles and doubles. And they also don't have to just pick players who played in singles and doubles to play the golden game. They may have a golden game specialist that is exceptional at serves or service return, and they may put them just in the golden game. Some other stuff like serve clock, right? Most major sports have some kind of clock to keep the action moving, whether it's the 24-second clock in basketball or the new pitch clock in baseball. We'll be introducing a serve clock so that players aren't walking around dawdling and slowing things down unnecessarily. And then finally, we'll be instituting a challenge system. So if there is a close call on an edge or a net, there will be a certain amount of challenges allotted to each team that they can call, and we'll go to the instant replay to make sure that we get the calls right.
Sean, I don't know what you would say. To me, it sounds like the league is doing a lot of things to make the life of a coach much harder and more complicated with all the new decisions that they have to make. We have all 8 coaches with us today. We'll hear from each coach after they make their final selection. Sean, your quick thoughts on the rule changes before we get the draft officially started.
Well, I definitely like having the women play singles. I think that's going to really showcase the female talent that we have in the league. But I think the coolest thing is it's always going to come down to the golden game. No matter how the first 15 games go, you got to stay there for the golden game because anything can happen. And the matchups and the mix-ups, they're always ready to happen.
All right, Flint, anything you'd like to add before officially getting the proceedings underway?
No, I think that's it. I think we've got some athletes standing by hoping to get drafted. Hopefully we'll interview some of the coaches. So with that, I'd like to kick off the 2024 Major League Table Tennis Draft. The Florida Crocs are on the clock with 4 minutes to make their pick.
All right. So Frank Arias returning as head coach, Sean, for the Florida Crocs. The team from the Sunshine State a year ago got off to such a phenomenal start behind their first-round pick a year ago, Daniel Gorak, and obviously he and Matilda Ekholm were a phenomenal doubles pair as well. But the Crocs faded late in the season, so I wonder what you're thinking about in terms of how the Crocs can use this first-round pick, the number 1 overall pick, to boomerang them right back into contention next year.
Well, I think because of the number of great players we have in the draft, they're going to be getting a world-class superstar to supplement Daniel Gorak. Matilda, she's going to have to play some singles. I mean, that's going to be on her to get that training going. Olympic player in the past, lives out in New York. I think Mark Duran, what a shot maker. I mean, he can make shots from all over the table. Sometimes we see two-handed backhands from the backcourt, and then Daniel Gonzalez from Puerto Rico. So the team should be looking for a very strong international player, but they've got other players to add to their mix.
There are a handful of players available in the draft ranked in the top 100 in the world, men and women. If you were a coach, that sound means the pick is in. Let's send it to the commissioner, Flint Lane.
Thank you, Evan. With the number 1 pick in the 2024 MLTT draft, the Florida Crocs select Liam Pitchford. Chicago Wind, you are now on the clock. You have 4 minutes.
Well, Liam Pitchford becomes the second ever number 1 pick in an MLTT draft, joining Enzo Angles, who went to the Carolina Gold Rush first a year ago. Obviously, Liam comes in with a lofty reputation, good buddies with David Macbeth, who's an MLTT champion. They're GB teammates. Sean, break down Liam Pitchford's strengths as a player, and do you view him as an absolute game changer for Florida?
Absolutely. There's no question. He brings so much international experience, so much game. He has a great attacking style, not just on the forehand side, but really well known for his backhand attacks. True professional, obviously playing for Team GB, World Championships, Olympics, you name it, his resume is there. But I think he's really going to take pressure off Daniel Gorak to be a player in the B position, a little bit more. And again, doubles, Liam can do double take and do both singles and doubles.
And Liam now joins us live. Liam, congratulations on being the number 1 pick. What are you most excited about to be joining the Florida Crocs?
Thanks for that. Yeah, obviously excited to join. New experience for me. I hope we can make it further than last year. Obviously, it was very close to them making playoffs, but I hope I can add to that and bring something more to the team, and hopefully we can go all the way.
As you followed last year's MLTT season from afar and perhaps heard some stories from your friend Dave, what about MLTT made you want to be a part of this for season 2?
I don't know. Just obviously, I speak to Dave a lot. He's one of my best friends, and yeah, it just looked really fun, to be honest. Like, you know, he was telling me all the stories how he enjoyed it, and that's what I wanted. You know, I've played a long time in Europe and all over in clubs in Asia as well, and I wanted something different. And I think this is the way to make table tennis bigger.
You know, Liam, also, you had mentioned earlier how to get table tennis bigger in the US. Any ideas on other players for your team? You've seen the draft. Any players that you would know from playing in Europe that you might want to give your coach? Have you obviously haven't had a chance to speak to Frank because you're just on the team, but any other players stand out that you would love to have as teammates?
I mean, I think there's a few. I'd probably say someone like, obviously, Lebeson. He's a great serve and return player. Obviously played against him many times in a few big matches. And yeah, I mean, there's a load of great players that are up there. You know, Benedict Olar, great backhand. You've probably seen him on the world tour as well, playing some crazy matches. So yeah, it's going to be. Hopefully, we get the rest of the team strong and make a push for the title.
Liam, congratulations again on being the number 1 pick in the draft. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you in September for the start of next season. Well done. Get to training, and We'll see you in the fall.
Thank you very much. See you then.
Pitchford, the number 1 pick in the draft. The Chicago Wind have been on the clock, and that sound means that the pick is in. Let's see who will be joining Chicago. Let's take it back to the commish, Flint Lane.
Thank you. With the number 2 pick in the 2024 Major League Table Tennis Draft, the Chicago Wind select Emmanuel Lebeson. Seattle Spinners, you are now on the clock. You have 4 minutes.
So Emmanuel Lebeson from France joins Chicago, joining another Frenchman, Damien Provost, one of the leaders of the Wind a year ago. Liam Pitchford will be an opponent of Lebeson, Sean, not his teammate, which isn't too surprising considering that these two guys were rated so highly coming into the draft. Break down Lebeson's game from your experience. What should we know about the 36-year-old lefty?
Well, clearly, as a former European singles champion, he knows how to get the job done. What's really interesting, Evan, with the Chicago Wind, they've got 3 lefties, so they're going to be super solid in doubles play. They're going to have no difficulty picking and matching. The question is, would they go 2 lefties in the doubles? France has done that before. France, for some reason, internationally has a lot of lefty players throughout their history. But I think with Lebeson, again, just a total package, all the top players, very strong offensively, just a true professional, and he will add tons of value to Chicago.
As we look at the roster, 4 spots are done, 4 spots still to fill for Coach Eric Owens and the Wind. There's no female player on the team as of this moment. That'll change over the course of the next 60 to 90 minutes. Do you feel a sense of urgency? Does Chicago need to go with a female player in their second round pick, do you think?
Yeah, I think that they have to get the strongest female because she's going to be playing singles, not only against females, but it could line up where she's playing against male players. So you're looking at styles of play. You want to make sure that the female has a chance to obviously do well in the golden game, which is huge. But yeah, I think that I would anticipate that Chicago, if not the next pick, clearly in pick number 6, will have a female on their team.
We've got Emmanuel Lebeson joining us live. Emmanuel, congratulations on being the number 2 pick. How does it feel to be joining Major League Table Tennis?
Hi, everybody. I am really happy to join you in the to be number 2 choice to Chicago. I am very happy to join the team and to help next season the team. I play, as Liam said, I play many years in Europe. Also, Liam is amazing player, really strong player. So it will be a big team against us. But I think it's really nice to join this new league, and I follow with a lot of attention the first season, and for me it was really nice to see, and I will be very exciting to join the team and to join the league and to make amazing matches and to help the club to go to the playoff first and after maybe more.
Excellent. And with teammates, Damien Provost, have you had a chance? What type of relationship do you have with your countrymen?
This for sure will help me, because when you have one French guys also, it's easier. He knows the MLTT because he played the first season, so he know every rules. He know the system before the game, everything. So this will help me a lot, and I know him for a long time. He's a little bit older than me, but it was close to the same generation, and he make a lot of good results this season also in Europe. He play also good in MLTT. They miss the playoff, but for sure we will have the opportunity to get it for the season 2, and I will try, with my experience, but to help them to catch this goal.
I know the clock has expired. Before we let you go, Emmanuel, really quick, really experienced table tennis players have said that their first golden game is unlike anything that they have experienced. What are you most excited about or scared of with the golden game, your first one?
I think, to be honest, with my game, I think golden game, is maybe advantage with my serve, but it's not only this, it's every point will be 50 at this time. I saw how the pressure was during this golden game. I think I will be more
more clear and more it will be easier to play the first game and maybe the double, and the golden games after. It's a war. Every point is a war, and we will fight for this.
Love it. Congrats on joining Major League Table Tennis. Look forward to seeing you in the fall. Emmanuel Levisan, thanks so much for joining us.
Bye. Ciao.
All right. We are not going to be interviewing a player after every single pick. Only a couple players are set to join us. It just so happens that two of them were the first two picks in the draft. Let's go back to the commissioner, Flint Lane.
Thank you. With the number 3 pick in the 2024 MLTT draft, the Seattle Spinners select Lubomir Pište. On the clock now is the Portland Paddlers. You have 4 minutes.
Lubomir Pište from Slovakia, 40 years old, and he joins a Seattle team that already added Cole the offseason with a trade. So the Spinners finishing with the fewest points in the league last year, Sean, but adding Cole and adding Pište, Luba Sadovska's team, certainly gaining some firepower. Your thoughts on the third pick?
Yeah, I think this is a really nice pick, grabbing a top European player, all-round player. He's been in the U.S. for a number of tournaments. He kind of helps balance out Cole's just amazing record that he had in season 1. Of course, you've also have to think about Audi Serene being so young, that bringing in an experienced player like Pište will help Audi improve. Day just qualified for the Olympics this past weekend, and also Andrew Cow, super future star of USA table tennis. So it looks like Coach Luba is kind of mixing it up. She was very young in season 1. It looks like she's going with that big trade to Portland for Cole plus a draft pick, going with a little older crowd, maybe allowing them to help Andrew, help Audi with their improvement.
And like Chicago, Seattle is still without a female player. So you have to imagine that will be on the Spinners' minds as we head toward their second round pick. I'm curious to get your thoughts on the trade. Cole for Nikhil Kumar and a draft pick. You see Christian Lillyrose, the coach of the Paddlers, they've got the 19th and 20th pick because the third round selection from Seattle was sent to Portland in the Kumar Cole deal. By my understanding, the first ever trade in MLTT history. So some history there. Your thoughts on Nikhil and Cole both had real shining moments in season 1. How does Nikhil fit into the Paddlers' future in your mind?
Yeah, I think as a lefty, Nikhil is so strong having that doubles option. He is, I'm not going to say a doubles specialist because he's so good. He's the U.S. champion, defending champion in singles, but he brings so much to the table as a lefty in doubles. Cole, I mean, what can you say? Just so dominant in the Western Conference. And I think that Luba wanted to have a partner with, seems like we have a pick being called.
We do indeed. Let's see who Christian has chosen. Flint, take it away.
With the number 4 pick of the 2024 MLTT draft, the Portland Paddlers have selected Hampus Norberg. On the clock is the Carolina Gold Rush. You have 4 minutes.
Hampus Norberg, 36-year-old from Sweden, all business in that official photo. And you got to imagine this is a guy that Rose is hoping will be the backbone of the team in the years ahead.
Well, Coach Christian Lillyrose being Swedish, not a big surprise. He knows the Swedish landscape very well. Hampus is also a firefighter, so I guess the logical thing is he's there to put out some fires for Portland. But I think it's going to be a young team. I mean, with Nikhil finishing up college, with Jiwei being the heart and soul, I think Hampus is going to be a nice fit. They already have their female with Rachel Sung. So it'll be interesting where they go in the final picks that they'll have. But I think Hampus, good all-round player, very consistent, young and available. that's the other thing, Evan, we have to mention that some of these players, because of their national team responsibilities, they might be higher ranked, but they also might have to do dual duties with the national team.
The other thing to note about Nordberg is that he has 3 times won the gold medal in the Swedish championship in doubles. So with the female player, Rachel Sung, presumably shifting to solely singles, she could still play doubles as well. But Nordberg is a guy that, could add that double value intended, both a singles and a doubles contributor.
And I think also, Evan, Jiwei, I think, is a more natural 3 player on the team. And with Nordberg and Nikhil playing up top, that really gives paddlers some depth there. Again, Jiwei at the Portland match just stepped it up, playing with 103 temperature, just really played beyond everyone's expectations. So I see Portland really having a nice balance. And it sounds like another pick is in.
That was one of the moments of the season when Jiwei Shah had that performance in Portland. Carolina Gold Rush, phenomenal season. Disappointing championship weekend, though. Let's find out who's the newest member of the Gold Rush with the commissioner, Flint Lane.
With the number 5 pick in the 2024 MLTT draft, the Carolina Gold Rush have selected Satoshi Ida. Bay Area Blasters, you are now on the clock. You have 4 minutes.
So Satoshi Ida joins Angles, Lawrence, Lin Zhang, and the Carolina Gold Rush. These players certainly had their moments in the league this year. Hiro Kasahara, a champion with Texas. Obviously, Koyo Kanemitsu was phenomenal for much of the season with Princeton. Sean, how familiar are you with Satoshi's game?
Well, the one thing you can count on, Japan right now has had a resurgence internationally. They are challenging China in the women's singles and also, or in the women's team event, but also in the men's team event. So to be a pro player in Japan, they've got a very strong league. They're called the T League. Getting into the national championships is a huge accomplishment. So I know that Satoshi, just like Koyo and the other player Hero that we have, he's going to come prepared. Great over-the-table game, very fast reflexes, hard-working, and a super team member. I mean, very easy to fit in with the other members of their team. And Carolina, I mean, I was surprised at how the end of the season went, but what a great team they had led by Enzo Angles, our MVP.
It's interesting. The first 5 picks in the draft this year, are all that aren't super young. We saw a lot of young teenagers, a lot of players in their 20s. We've seen more experienced veterans, coaches wanting to trust the track record of great players who have had tremendous careers around the world coming to MLTT, not necessarily early in their career with an upward trajectory, but hoping to bring their experience and international success to MLTT.
And I think the other side of that, Evan, and Liam said it so well, everyone wants to see table tennis blow up. And the international players who are slightly older, they feel that this is their chance to make a difference in the international table tennis world, because once the US goes ping pong or table tennis crazy, then it's like it is in Europe and Asia, where it already is first name basis for a lot of these international stars. So I just think it's awesome to see the older players saying, here's my chance. They love playing in the US. They've come to our US Open. They've had some world table tennis events here, but they really want to make a difference.
Well, the Bay Area Blasters are on the clock. The only new coach in MLTT, Tim Wang, is about to make his first selection, and apparently the pick is in. Flint, take it away.
With the number 6 pick in the 2024 MLTT draft, the Bay Area Blasters select Tae-Hyun Kim. Princeton Revolution, you are now on the clock. You have 4 minutes.
Tae-Hyun Kim from South Korea, one of the players who was featured in our Open, talking about why he was excited to join MLTT. Kim will become the first Korean player in Major League Table Tennis, because we did not have one a season ago. What are your thoughts, Sean, on Tim Wang's first pick as an MLTT head coach?
Well, I'm really excited to see Tim jump from the player role for Chicago over to the coach because he brings so much experience, Olympic player himself, but looks like he did go with the age. I mean, right now the experience with Tao and Zhang, Lachine, of course, Lily Zhang, you can't say enough about her. I mean, she's been the face of US women's table tennis for quite some time, but to go for a 21-year-old from Korea brings a different style. I would anticipate probably likely he will play some doubles. Tao Wen-jung, solid doubles, but Jinbao Ma, I mean, he really stepped up his game in the second half of the season.
Something about Tai Yoon Kim, he's incredibly experienced. He's played in the Saudi Premier League. He's played in Germany and Austria, obviously coming from Korea. I mean, we get an international flavor across the league. More than 20 countries represented a year ago, should be even more next season. How does that international experience, do you think, impact his team and the league overall?
What I like about it is that every country seems to have their own style. Usually it's top down from the national champion. And with Korea, great Olympic results since the sport's been in the games where it came in Seoul, but footwork. That's something that the Koreans always have an abundance of. And I think when we look towards the doubles, which is such a key factor, I think this pick with Kim will really serve them well. I think that he'll be able to, whether he's teaming up with Jinbao Ma or Tao Wen-jung, I think it really gives them a chance to get maybe 2 or 3 points in the doubles each time.
We got 2 more picks remaining in the first round. The 2 teams that made the championship match still to select, and only 2 picks for the Princeton Revolution in this year's draft. Sean, does it surprise you to see them? Well, we'll get back to that. 6 players on the team, 1 more about to join. Matthias Habasson in Princeton. Flint?
With the number 7 pick in the 2024 MLTT draft, the Princeton Revolution select Wensheng Wei. Texas Smash is now on the clock. You have 4 minutes.
Wensheng Wei from China becomes the 7th pick in the draft. And, we knew coming in that the Princeton Revolution did not have that many choices, Sean, so they needed to capitalize quickly with their choices. Your thoughts on what they've done?
I'm going to say I'm a little surprised. I'm not stunned, but with 2 females, that gives them a chance to look at the opponents and choose Angela Guan, who really played well at the end of the season as a defensive player. And certain style matchups, they might have felt that they would be at a deficit. So to go with a very strong Chinese player on the female side, she was the highest ranked female in the draft. So they went and said, you know what? We need to have that flexibility. I've just been very impressed by Coach Habasson, how he's approached the team, how he's worked with the players. I think Jishan Liang has improved because of the coach and being part of Princeton Revolution. So looks like they're really playing the end game right now, knowing that the females will be playing singles.
How would you compare Wensheng Wei's game to the other female players that are currently the top females in the league, like Hong Lin, Amy Wong, Rachel Sung, etc.?
Well, word on the street that I heard is that Wei has a chance to beat a lot of the men. So I think that was one of the pieces that the Revolution went for, is that, yes, in the head-to-head, she'll do well with all the females, being a top Chinese player. But the question is, what happens when they get lined up against a male player?
All right, time for the champs to finish off the first round. Texas Smash about to make their pick. Flint, take it away.
With the number 8 pick in the 2024 MLTT draft, the Texas Smash select Amir Hodey. We're back to the Florida Crocs. This time we're in the second round, and you will have 2 minutes.
Amir Hodey, national champion in Iran, will become the first Iranian player in MLTT. Relatively young, just 25 years of age, been closing in on a spot in the top 100 in the world. Sean, have you seen Amir play?
just a little bit through the highlights, but the one thing I will say is that I know that Coach Jorg Bitsugayo does his homework. So I'm sure that he's had a chance to reach out, speak to some of the different players, check their availability, check their training, and also see how they fit. I mean, it's kind of like, it's not broken, how do you fix it? They won, they're the champs. So adding players, it really has to work well with the hero, David, Nandan, Amy, and Daryl. They lost Rebete, but I think that this pick here, it's great to have some Iranian players join the league, and I think he'll fit really well with Texas.
Well, that'll do it for round one. I don't know if we can look at the full big board to see what's been done and what's still to come. Right now, the Crocs are on the clock. Only 2 minutes per pick from here on out, so the picks are going to be coming fast and furious. Before we get to the second round, Sean, biggest surprise for you the first round and biggest takeaways from the first round?
I would probably say with Princeton Revolution taking a female in the first round. I think that it makes a lot of sense. With Angela's style as a defensive player, it gives them flexibility. No surprise for the Crocs and also the Win to take the two strongest players in the league. And it looks like we've got another pick coming in.
Yeah, I will say the team that took a female player in the first round last year ended up winning the championship, Amy Wong and Texas. Second round about to begin. Lane.
With the number 9 pick in the 2024 MLTT draft, the Florida Crocs select Caden Shu. Chicago Wind is now on the clock.
So the Florida Crocs taking an American player, Caden Shu. Caden we played doubles with Bay Area Blasters coach Timothy Wong collegiately, so that's an interesting quirk as a new player in the league. And there will be more interdivisional play this year all season long, so you won't have to wait for the big interdivisional weekend to necessarily see his former doubles partner in Tim Wong. Caden joins the Crocs. Sean, your thoughts?
Caden has played out of New Jersey, specifically Lilliep Table Tennis Center. Very strong player, young, great forehand. He'll add a lot of flexibility, again, with the Crocs. In case there's any transportation or other leagues, he's completely committed to the league, so they don't have to worry about his availability. So I think he adds a lot. Very strong player. And I expect he'll improve with the league. We saw that with a lot of the younger players, but he has a chance as well after midpoint in the season to actually practice with Liam, getting advice from Daniel, having Mark Duran as a guy next to you. I think it really does elevate not just the league, but the individual players as well.
Florida certainly looking different after selecting Shu and Pitchford with their first 2 picks, building toward the next upcoming season. Let's find out if, in fact, Chicago has taken their first female player for next year. Flint?
In fact, they have. With the number 10 pick in the 2024 MLTT draft, the Chicago Wind have selected Mo Zhang. Seattle Spinners, you're now on the clock.
So Mo Zhang joins the Chicago Wind. Emily Tan last year, who had certainly some exhilarating highlight reel moments, but in Mo Zhang, they're getting a good bit more experienced. Mo literally twice age and also a top 100 world ranking to boot.
And she just qualified for her 5th Olympics this past weekend. She brings so much to the table. She plays with a pips out forehand smashing style, which is really going to serve the Wind well if she plays against male counterparts. Very strong. She's been Team Canada on the female side. Again, this is her 5th Olympics she's qualified for. So very strong pick, smart pick. They've taken care of their female player. They still need to get some US players though. They're still 0 out of 3 there.
And that's one of the requirements. Each team must have at least 3 US based players. We've got our next pick, Flint.
With the number 11 pick, the Seattle Spinners have selected Deborah Vivarelli. Paddlers are now on the clock.
The Italian Deborah Vivarelli, the players that MLTT announced, highlighting some of the top players that were going to be joining for season 2. So Seattle has its female. We'll see if they take another one. But Deborah is one of the players that I think folks were very excited about coming into the draft.
Absolutely. And I mean, the level of play on the female side, now knowing they will be playing singles, has just put even a higher premium of having the strongest females possible. I think that's why Princeton did what they did. So Vivarelli will add a lot of benefit to the spinners. Last season, Fabi did not get retained, so they had to do a replacement. And I think with the 2 picks with Pishte and with Vivarelli, there's a nice European flavor to the spinners now.
And also, you talk about the youth for Seattle last year, their first 2 picks. They drafted a 40-year-old in Pishte and a 35-year-old in Vivarelli. So players with a good bit more high-level reps and experience under the bright lights.
Absolutely. And we can see her game, just full court, very strong offense, very athletic. So there's no rule that the females can't play doubles, but I would anticipate that somebody like Olajide, who we saw play so many of the doubles for Seattle, that he will be their go-to person, at least as one of the doubles players.
Enjoyed seeing the video of Vivarelli and Lily Zhang competing there outside of MLTT. Now they will become West Division rivals in Major League Table Tennis. The Portland Paddlers will have 3 of the next 9 picks, and the first of which is coming right now. Flint?
With the number 12 pick in the MLTT draft, the Portland Paddlers have selected Jens Lundqvist. Caroline Goldrush are on the clock.
Jens Lundqvist joins the Portland Paddlers. So Christian Lilierose going with a heavy Swedish flavor in his first 2 picks. We saw some successful Swedes a year ago in the league with McDonald and Hagberg. Of course, neither of those players are in the league. So we've got our 2 Swedes, at least for next year. Your thoughts, Sean, on Jens?
I mean, Jens is a great player. He's older. He's currently playing in the Danish league, so he's still active. Little bit of a surprise, but again, with Christian being Swedish himself, he knows what to expect. I think Jens's availability will be high, and Sweden, which really competed head-to-head against China in the 80s, 90s, and the 2000s, Jens was part of that later generation. So he knows what it's like to play in a world championships, a European championship. So he brings not just the Swedish perspective, but the highest level of international play when he did represent Sweden. So I think Christian is going for a little bit of the experience there. He can play in the 1-2 spot, possibly keeping Jiwei. And gosh, that gives them a lot of options. He could play doubles. He could play in the 1-2. I think really who they match up with is where Coach Christian will move him in individual matches, because again, Nikhil Kumar, very strong in doubles as well.
Yes, indeed. It's interesting to see these rosters starting to fill out. The best team in last year's regular season, Carolina Gold Rush, about to make their second pick. Flint?
With the number 13 pick in the 2024 MLTT draft, the Carolina Gold Rush have selected Eugene Wong. Bay Area Blasters are on the clock.
So Eugene Wong, newest member of Gold Rush, the second Canadian drafted along with Mo Jong. Eugene, another experienced guy, 38 years old. His world ranking speaks for itself. How do you envision him fitting in on what's always looking like a pretty good Gold Rush roster with Enzo Angles, last year's first round pick at the top of the squad?
Yeah, super solid pick by Carolina. Eugene Wong has been Mr. US Open, winning it countless times. Of course, Canada did qualify for Paris in the team event, so Eugene will be there. Jeremy Hazine is focusing on studies, So he will not be playing MLTT this season, but he'll also be in Paris with Eugene. It's just Eugene's game is so consistent. You have to earn the point against him because he very rarely misses. So I think he really adds some stability, especially in the golden game. I think that he will add the ability to beat the 3 and 4 players, maybe 3 points quite often, and then always be in the match with the top 2.
All righty, good stuff. Satoshi Ida and Eugene Wong, the first 2 picks of this year's draft for Carolina. Joining Enzo Roman, Kai, and Hong Lin, the Bay Area Blasters have made their second selection as we take it back to the Commissioner Flint Lane.
With the 14th pick of the 2024 MLTT draft, the Bay Area Blasters have selected Andy Mariano Pereira Diaz. The Revolution are now on the clock.
So our first Cuban player, Diaz, joins the Bay Area Blasters. We have seen the growth of kind of Caribbean, Central American table tennis in recent years. Sean, how do you view Diaz fitting into the Blasters?
Well, as a lefty, we're always talking about doubles. So he gives them options. As a top 55 player in the world, it shows that he is ready to compete in that A-B position. Again, with the league getting so deep now, number 1 and 2 players for season 1 can move down to 3 and 4. And that gives the coaches so many options. Of course, Bay Area Blasters are going to rely on Lily Jung to take her points on the women's side. But I think going with the Cuban, it adds even more international flavor to the league. And I think Coach Timothy Wong did his homework.
To see how many of those names fit on the back of his jersey. Might just be Diaz. Princeton about to make its final selection to wrap up its 2024 draft. Flint?
With the number 15 pick in the 2024 MLTT draft, the Princeton Revolution have selected Benedict Ola. Texas Smash is on the clock.
Benedict Ola will round out the Revolution roster, the Hungarian player who just turned 33 a couple months ago, has been on the outskirts of the top 100 in the world. It's interesting, Sean, because we look at these 8-player rosters, and there are some players that are going to be on the cutting-edge floor on the average weekend, but Ola certainly looks like a guy who may not be cut out, might be in the mix pretty early.
Yeah, and I think with Princeton, they showed in season 1 getting Koyo as an 8th pick, what he meant to the team. I think this is identical. Getting Ola as their final pick, he's a 1-2 player. He is so solid that he's really going to make the Revolution the team to beat on the East Coast right now, because they are just loaded with experience. And with the 2 females, the coach has options of how to play them in each match.
Well, let's ask Matthias Habasson, the coach of the Revolution, to unmute his microphone. Matthias, your job was relatively easy compared to the other coaches in that you only had 2 spots to fill. What went into Wei and Ola, and how are you feeling about your squad for next year?
So first of all, I'm really happy about our picks today. It really went, I think, 100% in our direction today. If we could choose it in advance, from a realistic view, so like without Pitchford, Leveson, these guys, then I think this would be my wish list today. So I'm really happy. I think I just made solid decisions for the team with picking a very strong woman in the first round, because honestly, with all the respect to Angela, she did a great job last year and she really was a really good teammate and stuff. But we needed to improve in the women's position because of the new rules. And I think the best woman you can get this season is Wenjing Wei. And so I was also in a very comfortable situation because the team already is so strong. I don't have any bad player or player who cannot compete with the best players who are yet in the league. So I was in a very good position already. That's also the reason why I kept so many players in my team. Yeah. And I mean, what can I say? To have a player like Benedek Ola, especially to get him in the second round, is just amazing to me. I mean, I also have a little bit of history with him as a sparring partner. When I was a national team coach, I also organized him several times as a sparring partner for Robert Gardosh and guys like that, because I knew how valuable he is as a sparring partner, as a sportsman, as a player.
You know, the one thing that shines out is the balance of your team. With Ola, with Jishan as a lefty, with Jinxing with experience, Yevgen, great backhand, Koyo kind of does everything. Matthew, you've got a chopper, and now you've got two strong women to choose from. It just really seems like you've got a piece of every single coach's dream in order to match up against the other teams.
Yeah, I mean, it's really fun to coach this team. Actually, you are totally right. To have such players, it's just great as a coach. Not only because of their styles or their levels, also because of their attitude and how they their view on this sport in general. Yeah, and these are things you also cannot anticipate in advance for everybody if you don't know everybody that well. And yeah, I was a little bit lucky on this side too. But yeah, as you said, it's just a great team, and I hope I can fill this hole in my soul next season after losing this finals. But anyway, it was a great one.
All righty, Matthias Habasson, thank you so much for joining us, the head coach of the Princeton Revolution. His day is complete. The other 7 coaches still with a lot of work to do. Texas Smash about to make their second round selection, and for that, we take it to the commish.
With the number 16 pick in the 2024 MLTT draft, the Texas Smash have selected Artur Abusev. Florida Crocs are now on the clock.
Artur Abusev from Russia joins the Texas Smash, and he will become the newest member of the defending champions. Sean, he's got an easy nickname, Double A. What do you think about Artur?
Yeah, I think that, again, I'm going to go back that if one coach does their homework, it's always Jorg Bitzigayo. He always is looking at the bigger picture, how to bring players in that fit into the puzzle. So adding a Russian to the mix, he's got such an international flavor. He's got his top female, Amy, already covered. With Hero, such a strong player who did so well. And again, I can't say enough about David Mc, what he brings to any team. So I think Double A is going to be a welcome addition. And I think it's just going to be adding that much more to the league with an Iranian player, and then now with a Russian. The styles will really be complete for Texas.
Indeed, Amir and Artur, the first 2 picks for the reigning champs, Jorg Bitzigayo. You know, it's interesting. We talk about the season. It's not a linear thing. Over the course of the season, teams have their ups and downs. Texas, certainly one of the teams that I think you'd say started the slowest over the course of the first couple of months. But, you know, from the second half of the season on, Texas really turned it on, and there was no doubt they played better than anybody at championship weekend. So we're 2 rounds done. We've got basically, you know, 2 rounds plus a couple of picks left. Any players that are still on the board that you are curious if we'll see selected? What else stands out to you about where we are through 2 rounds as the Crocs get ready to make their 3rd pick?
I mean, there's still some players out there that are extremely strong, but it has to fit within the constraints, whether it's a extra US eligibility player, or I guess we've got females across the board now. Has Chicago taken care of their females?
Yes, they every team has at least one female.
Yeah, with Mo, so that's already taken care of. So yeah, I think that right now it's going to be thinking a little bit of doubles if there's lefties out there, but then also availability. I mean, some of these players, because of their national team responsibilities, they're going to have to juggle that, and some of them also play in some other leagues. So that's something that hopefully the coaches have had a chance to speak directly with the players in the draft, can they make MLTT their priority, or if it's going to be something where they play on Tuesday, MLTT plays on the weekend, there's no issue there.
Yes, indeed. And you see the only thing glaring on the bottom of the screen, Chicago without any U.S. players currently on their roster. So they need 3. We know Eric Owens is, has his hands tied, and his plot of players that he can draft from the next few rounds are certainly less than before, when he had the entire draft pool at his fingertips. So Florida will make the 17th pick in this draft, and they took Liam Pitchford with the number 1. Aiden Zhu was their second round pick. The third round pick is in. Here's Flint.
With the 17th pick in the 2024 MLTT draft, the Florida Crocs have selected UNU Wu. Chicago Wind is now on the clock.
So UNU Wu joins the Florida Crocs. They now have 7 players on their roster, with 4 players returning and 3 drafted today. Sean, I mean, this Florida team, it didn't feel like they were that far away, but they add in this Taiwanese teenager, and it should give them a boost of youth and energy.
Well, look at that top phrase, left-handed. They're thinking doubles as well. I mean, you've got Matilda, who played in the doubles with Daniel in season 1, but she will be playing singles. So getting a lefty to go along with Liam or Daniel Gorak makes a lot of sense. Young player means he's going to be really fast. He's going to be able to really learn a lot from Liam. Liam's still star of the league right now. I mean, how strong is Liam with what he's done internationally? So I think this is a smart pick by Coach Frank in order to get that lefty, get somebody young to balance out. Again, Caden is young as well. So I think we're seeing the coaches fill their needs more than just going for the highest ranked player that might not allow them to meet the constraints of the league.
We will hear from Frank Arias after he makes his next pick. The final pick for the Crocs will be the 24th overall selection. Let's see who's number 25. Or excuse me, who's number 18?
With the 18th pick in the 2024 MLTT draft, the Chicago Wind have selected Shengjing Zhang. The Paddlers are on the clock.
So Shengjing Zhang becomes the newest member of the Wind. 29-year-old right-hander. And we did mention how the Wind need to bring in players with American eligibility, meaning citizens or permanent residents. So that's how the eligibility organization is put together. Sean, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this pick. And then we have Portland on the clock for the next 2 picks here because of their trade. So this is a chance for Christian Lilyrose to make a move. But first, Chicago adding another player.
I think this is a real diamond find for Coach Eric Owens. Jinxing goes by Sean Zhang. Very solid. Young player, one of the most talented Chinese players living in the U.S., brings a huge amount of power. He can play up in the A-B slot if the ratings allow for it. Very strong. Recently just came up a couple points short or matches short in the Olympic tryouts for Team USA, as well as he's tried out for the U.S. national team. Plays out of Los Angeles. Dynamic style. He has beaten some of the top players in the country. I think Eric Owens, very tip of the hat, very good choice. That will add such a strong American eligible player to the Wind.
Shengjing Zhang advanced to the semis of the men's doubles in the recent U.S. Open last year as well. So he's got that doubles experience. Portland, I imagine we'll hear the sound momentarily. They got the next 2 picks, Sean. Let's find out who the first of the 2 is right now with Flint Lane.
With the 19th pick in the 2024 MLTT draft, the Portland Paddlers have selected Wei Wang, and they remain on the clock.
So Wei Wong joins the paddlers. Wei will celebrate his 40th birthday next month. So we're seeing more experienced players spread around the league. Another guy with U.S. eligibility, a guy who's got the green card, so he's on that U.S. eligibility track. Some success at past U.S. Opens, both singles and doubles. Sean, give me your big picture thoughts on Portland right now.
Yeah, no, they're going kind of Sweden, the US, and then China, right? So they've got two US eligible players with Jiwei Xia and Wei Wang now. But of course, you've got Nikhil Kumar, Rachel Sung, national team members, future of the US, Nikhil finishing up school, Rachel in school, UCLA, and then you've got your big Swedes. So I think that Christian learned a lot in season one. He dropped a number of players to really go big with the international stars. And I think Wei Wang really complements well. And I think it takes pressure off of Jiwei. I think that's going to really allow him to go into matches thinking, let's go for 3 points, where in the 1-2 position, it was a lot more challenging in season one for Portland.
The paddlers have one more selection to make here in this third round, and then they'll have a fourth round pick as well, 27th overall. The always pensive Christian Lilyrose getting ready to make this selection. And of course, it's not just the coaches. Teams have owners and other advisors, staffs that they're kind of in a war room all together, either in person or virtually, making these selections. I mean, how much of what we've seen so far today, Sean, do you feel like has gone according to script, and how many surprises have we seen in your mind?
I think at the very top level with Liam and Manu going where they did, I thought that was to be expected. But I think with Princeton coming in with holding so many of their team members, going after a top female, that's kind of like the Amy Wong choice in season one to take your number one pick as a female. But that made a lot of sense. And I think Coach Matthias mentioned it, as well as Angela played, and as again, such a super team player, having a different style when the women face the other women, very important. So I would say right now my biggest surprise is Portland. And of course, I live here in Portland, so I'm going to get to know these players as they come in early for some matches. Little surprised with the Swedish flavor, but again, Christian knows these players. He's been around, and I can't wait to see who becomes the seventh paddler.
Yes, indeed. Well, we are moments away from that. With the current paddlers roster, 3 players back from last year, 3 new players that have been selected. As you see the big board, and it's interesting to see these teams starting to come together. Portland needs at least one more American with one of these next 2 picks. You know, Carolina will take at least one American in their next couple of picks. Chicago needs the 2 Americans. Everybody else has hit that quota. I'll be interested to see, you know, with the added emphasis on the women playing singles, whether we see other teams beyond the Bay Area or beyond the Princeton Revolution adding another female player. We have not heard the pick is in sound yet, but I want to bring back in the Commissioner Flint Lane. Flint, is there anything going on we should be aware of?
Yeah, we had a small technical difficulty. The pick is in. The selection for the Portland Paddlers at number 20 is Amoto Katomi, and we will have the Gold Rush on the clock now.
So Amoto Katomi, a Japanese youngster, 20 years old, and Katomi add some additional youth to this Portland squad, and she does become the second female player on the Paddlers. So Rachel Sung and Katomi now are both in position to contribute for Portland, and that answers one of our questions, Sean. At least 2 teams will bring multiple females onto the 8-person roster.
I think that's a very smart move. It just gives the teams and the coaches, when they're matching up, the ability to pick a style that works, whether it's against a defensive player. Again, Japan right now is so solid. Ji-Wei Sha coached in Japan, so he knows the landscape there very well. So I'm sure that he had some influence with Coach Christian to say, hey, if we're going to bring a female, I know this player, I know what style they play, I know what value they can add to the team. But it's, here comes another pick.
Carolina Gold Rush about to make their third selection of the day. Flint?
With the 21st pick in the 2024 MLTT draft, the Carolina Gold Rush have selected Sid Naresh. The Bay Area Blasters are back on the clock.
Well, Sid Naresh, the older brother of one of the Texas Smashes champions, Nandan Naresh, becomes the third pick of the day for the Carolina Gold Rush. You know, we say he's the older brother. He's still one of the younger players in the league at just 20 years old. But the Naresh brothers, certainly well-renowned as youth table tennis prodigies in the United States. And Sid becomes an American on this Carolina squad that had the most points in the regular season a year ago.
Evan, I have to just say that I am very impressed with the Gold Rush. Their picks right now, this team is loaded. I hope Sid gets in because they've got such a strong set of players right now. Maybe the one question mark is Hong Lin, how she'll fare against the other top international females that have joined the league this season. But right now with Enzo, I mean, we're talking MVP. Then you're adding Satoshi as well as Eugene Wong. Roman, such a fighter. I mean, the whole season, you could count on him always taking his individual points. And then Kai Jung blasting forehands and backhands. So now Sid, he's going to have great teammates, and another pick is in.
Yeah, you've talked about the biggest ability is availability. Carolina's availability was top-notch a year ago. It's what made them great. Blasters have made their pick here in round number 3.
With the 22nd pick in the 2024 MLTT draft, the Bay Area Blasters have selected Keith Cruz. Texas Smash are back on the clock.
So another pick made by the Bay Area Blasters, Keith Cruz, female player from the Philippines, and she will become one of the younger players in the league. Keith Cruz won't turn 18 until December, so a young female player with plenty of upside, and she also could become the first female player, or first player from the Philippines in MLTT. Are you at all familiar with Keith?
No, I haven't seen her play, but again, I think the challenge and what the coaches are now telling us and showing us is that having two strong females on their team, especially if there's any conflicts, better than going to the player pool where you're limited to American players or at least US eligible players. Getting to choose the female player that fits into your system or your team makes a lot of sense. So again, I think we're seeing a trend here that you thought could occur, Evan, and Coach Tim Wong definitely going that route.
Yes, indeed. We'll hear from Tim in a little bit. You know, we will say, Sean, that one of the biggest surprises for, I think, both you and me was the fact that the Blasters did not retain the services of Sonora Silva. He had such a phenomenal season, and he was a player that was undrafted last year and came on as a free agent first for Princeton and then for the Bay Area squad, and really was one of the top producers of points in the whole league in terms of points per game and the opportunities to score. So, you know, we'll see if any of the returning players that, you know, weren't retained by their teams that are back in the draft pool, like Sonora or somebody else, get selected. Right now, Jorg Bitzigayo is on the verge of making his final pick to finish off his 2024-25 roster. 5 players that contributed to last year's championship are back. They've added Amir from Iran and Artur from Russia. I mean, do you expect another female player here for Jorg, to have a second female on the roster again, or is there any? Well, let's find out exactly what Jorg has decided. Flint, take it away.
With the 23rd pick in the 2024 MLTT draft, the Texas Smash have selected Jeet Chandra. The Crocs are now on the clock.
All right, Jeet Chandra joining the Texas Smash. It is not a female player, but the first Indian to be drafted in Major League Table Tennis. A guy that, brings youth and a different international flavor to Texas's roster. Sean, I'll get your thoughts in a minute, but let's bring in the coach of the reigning champs, Jorg Bitzigayo. Jorg, you have made 3 picks to round out your roster of champions. What would you say your mindset and strategy was coming into the draft, and how do you feel about how it's unfolded for you today?
Okay, how it's unfolded, we're gonna see next season. I'm looking forward to compete and to develop to compete with and to develop with our team. I think we are following the same strategy we did last season. We are looking for some young players who are professionally training, who are still trying to improve, who are available, who are able to come in earlier, because we last season successfully always had a prep camp before the actual match weekend. So that are the characteristics we are looking for, and I think we can be quite happy with what we got. I mean, everyone knows as a defending champion in the draft, we are not getting the greatest numbers of picks. Like, we're not like the first one, but that's okay. I think we will be very prepared next season. We will have the same approach, trying hard, trying to group up, build a team. Everyone for sure will try to improve throughout the season, and then I'm quite positive we will be competitive.
So, Coach Jorg, would I be correct in saying that you've had a chance to work with some of the new picks directly? I know that you coached very successfully in the Indian League, but with the Artur from Russia, and then also Amir, have you had a chance to see them up close and personal?
Yeah, I know all of the 3 guys quite well for a couple of years now, because I've seen them playing internationally. I was always I'm trying to be up to date. Amir is someone maybe a little bit under the radar because he's from Iran, but if you look up his results, he's quite strong and also playing quite well in Asia. He's listed in the French league, so it's not so difficult to get some information about him. Artur Abuzev, okay, unfortunately due to what's going on in the world, was not been able to play internationally, but he's a chopper, so I think it's an exciting style. We can get into the league, and if you followed him a little bit also in the French league, he has beaten very high-level players. And he's young and he's a good personality for us. It also counts to get good people on the team. And Jeet Chandra, I've met him in the Indian League. I saw him playing quite closely against someone like Benedict Duda, who is a top 30 player in the world. So maybe these are players who are flying a little bit under the radar, but it was the same. We did similar choices last season. And at the very end, I won't say it paid off for us. We did well, but for us, it's more important, as I said, to get together a group, to get together a team, to get people with good personalities, and then we have to do our job. We have to build, to develop, and it's interesting. I'm looking forward to have some more youngsters.
I think it's fair to say it worked out, Jorg. Thanks for joining us today. Congrats. Hope you're still soaking in the glory of the championship wherever you are, and look forward to seeing you in the fall. That's Jorg Bitzigayo, the coach of the Texas Smash. 3rd round about to get under, I should say the next round about to get underway. It's the 4th round of the day, and the Florida Crocs have made their pick.
With the 24th pick in the 2024 MLTT draft, the Florida Crocs have selected Sungwon Lee. Chicago Wind are now on the clock.
So Sungwon Lee, the 2nd Korean today, on 23 years of age, and joining a team that'll be led by a couple of 1st-round picks, Daniel Gorak from last year and Liam Pitchford, the 1st overall pick of this year's draft, made just about an hour ago. The Crocs certainly had some holes in their roster at the start of the day, Sean. How does it look to you now?
Well, they're looking at the big picture. I mean, able to take the top pick with Liam, and now it looks like with Sung-Hwan Lee, a lefty, means they're probably looking at doubles. And what I thought was going to happen is a lot of the 1-2s from season one might move into the 3-4s in season two. So Florida looks very strong at the top, and I'm interested to hear Coach Frank's thoughts of if he got the players he wanted.
Well, Frank, you can unmute your mic. Give us your thoughts on what it was like preparing for this draft with the number one pick, and what can you tell us about the 4 selections you've made?
Thank you so much. I believe now we have a strong team with these, I'm sorry, in Hayes lineup. I'm sure we have the ability to compete at the highest level, and we have our sight on the playoffs, and we want to ultimately get the championship cup back at home.
Frank, last year, Alex Yang said that Enzo Angles was a no-brainer number one pick. How many deliberations did you have, or was Liam the clear number one pick for you once he entered the pool and you won the lottery?
Yeah, we were fortunately got the first pick, and no brain on selecting him.
So, Coach Frank, right now, I know it's early, but where do you think Daniel Gorak, do you see him possibly in the 3 spot, or clearly do you want to keep him up top? I know there's a little bit more of a range where you can move the players the new coming season.
Daniel is a very experienced player and very calm, and he brings a lot to the team. So I believe we're going to be juggling depending on who we're facing.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense.
All right, Frank, well done today. You've added half of a team and returned the half of the team from last year. Look forward to seeing you in the fall. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Flint Lane has the next pick, round number 4.
With the 25th pick of the 2024 MLTT draft, the Chicago Wind have selected Eugene Tom Feng. The spinners are now on the clock.
So Yijun Feng becomes the newest member of the Chicago Wind. Now, this is the stage of the draft, Sean, where there's certainly players that, aren't sure if they're going to be selected. So hearing their names called, they're hearing it at the same time we all watch, is a pretty big deal to get the opportunity to join Major League Table Tennis and compete for $100,000 in an MLTT Cup. Are you familiar with Yujun Feng and what he could add to the Wind?
Yeah, very familiar with Tom Feng, NYU graduate, U.S. Olympian, and in Tokyo, he didn't play, but he acted as the captain. So he didn't play season 1. I was a little surprised. I was hoping he would, but he's a perfect player for Coach Eric Owens, because Eric has to get one more U.S. eligible player, and by taking Sean Zhang and then now Tom Feng, he's getting the top players there that are available, and they're just solid players. Tom Feng is the perfect teammate. Again, Olympic captain from Tokyo, penholder player, great backhand, good serves, a little bit older now that he's graduated from school. And I know he wanted to be part of MLTT. So getting into the draft this season, very welcomed addition, especially to the Chicago Wind.
And you say a little bit older, still just 27 years old. Chicago with one more pick to make. They'll be coming up in round number 5. They'll be the only team that'll make a round 5 selection officially. All right, Seattle picking a while because they traded their round 3 pick. So let's see who will join Piste and Vivarelli. Here's Flint.
With the 26th pick in the 2024 MLTT draft, the Seattle Spinners have selected Thiago Montero. The Paddlers are now on the clock.
So Thiago Montero, the Brazilian, joins Seattle. We saw one Brazilian join the league last year, were not retained. So maintaining some Brazilian flavor in the league. A veteran player, Montero, joined Seattle.
And Montero, very solid, but mostly he's been playing in Europe. So he is that pro player mindset. He knows what it's like to be in a professional league. He knows that when you come to play a match, it's not like a lot of tournaments where you start with lower rated players and you work your way up quarterfinals, semis, finals. You got to be on your game right out of the block because you're playing one match. And with MLTT, it's 3 games, and then you're going to get ready either for doubles or the golden game. So I think Spinners did a really nice job bringing a player who has that Brazilian background, but also the European experience to kind of balance out the young players with Andrew and with Audie on the team. And I really like their pick with Deborah Vivarelli as well. I think they're filling in their needs and they've met all the constraints going into the final round.
Montero does have dual nationalities, Brazilian and French, and now he'll be coming to America to play Major League Table Tennis. So we'll get Luba's thoughts after she makes her final selection, which will be the 31st and final pick in this draft. The Portland Paddlers have one more pick to make, and that will be coming momentarily. They have 3 U.S. eligible players and 2 female players, so this could be anybody on the board here for Portland.
Now, Portland has the flexibility. I don't know if there's any more Swedes left, but clearly Coach Christian Lillerose has really stacked his team with some experience. And again, I think Nikhil, great opportunity here in season 2 to really pick up where he left off and get some doubles play, but also get ready for national championships coming up and U.S. Opens. Nikhil's still extremely strong.
Nordberg, Lundqvist, a couple of Swedes, the first 2 picks of the day for Christian Lillerose. And then Wei Wong and Omoto Katomi followed that. Final pick for the Paddlers coming.
With the 27th pick in the 2024 MLTT draft, the Portland Paddlers have selected Hao Cheng Wong, the Gold Rusher on the clock.
Hao Cheng Wong, 6-year-old from China, rounds out the Paddlers roster, and Christian Lillerose will join us here to talk about his draft. Christian, I don't know if you want to dance a little bit for us. Usually you dance after a Golden Game win. Does this feel at all like a Golden Game win? How do you feel about your draft?
No, I'm very happy with the draft. There were a couple of choices that were a little bit difficult, but it's pretty amazing that my last pick, I get a 27, 63 rated player. That's pretty crazy. That shows you how strong the draft is. And I pretty much, of course, I'm Swedish heavy. You know, we know that top 2 Swedes. But I also feel like Hampus is kind of a player that Jörg used the expression under radar, and I think he really is. He plays in the French Pro A, has very good results there, won the French Pro A 2 times, very, very strong doubles player. He's probably the best Swedish player that is not on a national team, and that's kind of what we're looking for. We, if somebody's on the national team, sometimes that adds a number of conflicts. So, Jens Lundqvist, of course, we know him. He's a famous player, and he is surprisingly active, and his strength is also mental strength. He has a colossal forehand, that I call it. And even if he has slowed down a little bit maybe in the last years, but his experience and mental strength going to be invaluable. And I think I'm predicting him to be the cannon in the Golden Game. My most difficult pick was probably female. I was surprised that I got Wei Wong. I wanted to have a US player in the 3rd round. I was surprised that it was left, and I was thinking about having a female defensive player. But if I have Wei Wong and a female defensive player, double up on defense, going to be too tough. So the female defensive player is a little bit tough because they are, you know, they do well against women, but they don't do good against men. So it's a risk to take a female chopper. If there was female against female, I would definitely be going female chopper. But Omolakatomik could have conflicts, but my backup Rachel is still very strong. So I took the chance of having maybe a first female a little bit bigger conflict, but I have a good backup.
So, Christian, it looks like another pick has just come in. I was going to ask, where do you see Nikhil? Do you see him in the top 2? Do you see him in the 3-4, or maybe as a double specialist?
Yeah, that's a big question. I'm super happy to have a strong US player on the team, and he is lefty. It could be doubles. I don't know how many. I have like 4 players now. 2750. It's going to be a toss. He's the only lefty that I have, and if I play him doubles, then I will not playing singles. So that's like a very tough choice. I was thinking about looking for a female lefty at the last pick, but when Wang was available, he's too strong to neglect, so I have to take him. But it's very difficult choices to make.
All right, Christian, you have a few months to think about those decisions. We'll see you in September. Have a good summer. Thanks for joining us. With the next pick in the draft, the Carolina Gold Rush about to make their final selection. Flint?
With the 28th pick in the 2024 MLTT draft, the Carolina Gold Rush have selected Edward Lee. The Blasters are on the clock.
Well, Edward Lee, certainly a guy with a pretty high rating, Sean. Top 50 in the world from Canada. Are you surprised that he fell to the Gold Rush this deep into the draft?
Now, he's very strong. Recently won the Pan Am, I think it was the Pan Am Cup that was held in the US. He's really been playing well lately. So again, what we've seen in the draft is a lot of kind of diamonds in the rough that further down, the coaches who do their homework are well rewarded. So I really love the Gold Rush balance the team. I think that adding Sid is super for Sid's development, but Enzo, Eugene, Satoshi, very solid up top. And again, Hong Lin, so dependable. And as you said, them getting their players to their top team to the matches week in, week out makes a huge difference.
Alex Yang, coach of the Gold Rush, joins us now. Alex, you can unmute your mic. What were your goals coming into today's draft? How do you feel like you achieved those goals?
First of all, I tried to get some strong player, try to help Enzo, because we lost semifinal and the finals, the third position this season. And the second thing, I have to try to help North American table tennis to growing. So I pick Sid and Edward Lee. Edward Lee's US rating is low, but he's on the rating, I think. He will be surprise for everybody.
Yes, definitely. And with Satoshi, I think that was probably one of your, I'm not going to call it a sneaky pick, but such a smart one, bringing in such a strong Japanese player to the team.
Yes, before I did some homework. I talked to Harimoto's coach, Don Chimin. He's my best friend. I just sent him this name. He said, "Oh, you have to pick up him. He is a very dangerous player. He beat Harimoto. He beat Mitsutani. He beat a lot of Japanese top player in the J League. Also, I spoke with him. He said he can play. When US, he also played Japanese T League. I asked him if T League and US League conflict, which one pick? He said MLTT will be his first choice. Then I pick up him.
Very smart. Very good pick.
We know how important that availability factor is going to be. Alex, thanks for joining us today, and well done putting the roster together. Look forward to seeing you in the Gold Rush compete in the fall. Coming down to our final picks now. Flint?
With the 29th pick in the 2024 MLTT draft, the Bay Area Blasters have selected Eric Jouty. Chicago Wind is on the clock.
Eric Owens is now on the clock, but Eric Jouty goes to the Bay Area Blasters. The second Brazilian selected today, Jouty, 30 years old, on the cusp of the top 100, Sean.
Yeah, and a lot of international experience, both in Brazil and playing in the international leagues. So a young 30, I think he'll fit in well with the new picks that Timothy Wong has added, especially having the two females there, bringing in Andy and Taehyun Kim. Very, very nice young in especially with Lachine, young in spirit team. But I think Bay Area Blasters will continue to be one of the teams to beat in the Western Conference.
Tim Wong, you were a player last year. Now you're a coach. How does it feel to be an MLTT coach, and how do you feel about your first draft?
Yeah, I feel good. Last season I played, and then I'm getting a little bit older and not so active in the playing scene anymore. Moving more towards the coaching career. And yeah, I'm pretty excited with the team. I'm happy with who we retained. I think we have a strong lineup, and then adding these 4 new players to our team will just make us even stronger. So last season we finished 3rd, and hopefully we can go all the way this time.
So Tim, was your thought behind with Cruz more of an availability of Lily or having more options of playing styles? Because a number of the coaches went for 2 females.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both. Lily is now she's moved overseas, so availability, and also I've seen some results from Keith in the U.S. She recently she beat Daryl and also Zhang Xiangjing, who are 2 pretty strong men in the MLTT. So, and obviously I need some variety, and she has some pimples on the backhand. So yeah, I think she could be dangerous.
Tim, welcome to the MLTT coaching ranks. Look forward to seeing you in September, and good luck as you put your team together for next season. All right, just 2 picks left in the draft. Flint?
With the 30th pick of the 2024 MLTT draft, the Chicago Wind have selected Daniel Tran. Spinners are on the clock.
Well, the first player from last season who was not retained to be selected, Daniel Tran, a 16-year-old lefty, played with the Paddlers last season. Clearly talented, Sean, has some room to grow, of course, being 16, and he'll join Eric Owens and the Chicago Wind. You can look at the entire Chicago roster, and we're joined by Eric Owens. Eric, you had the number 2 pick. You got Lebeson, whose credentials are well established. Mo Zhang was the top female player. It's hard to be disappointed in a day like today. I feel like every coach is very pleased. But what are you most pleased about with your 5 picks that you've made?
Yeah, I mean, I prepared for many, many different scenarios, and my top 3 picks are exactly what I got. So I could not have asked for a better draft so far. Very, very hard to predict what some of the other coaches would go for. And what I learned through this draft is there's a wide variety of opinions on the different levels of players that the coaches think about. And so, but in my opinion, I think Lebeson and Pitchford, I think pretty clear. And, it was one or the other. We love the energy that Lebeson brings. He's friends with Damian. I think having a lefty is fantastic for doubles. So we're very, very excited about his strength, his energy. I think he'll be a cultural, a great fit for us. We really need a strong female. And in our analysis, we thought Mo Zhang was the strongest female in the draft. Very, very happy to get her. I think with the short pips on the forehand, I think she's very dangerous against men, especially in the Golden Game. I think she's especially dangerous against women. So I can use her in a variety of scenarios and situations, which gets me excited because I can be creative and sort of come in with a surprise attack. I think Zhang is, in my opinion, for the U.S. players, I think he was, very, very strong. I did not anticipate getting him. I actually felt pretty confident that he would go beforehand, and I had some other players lined up. But fortunately, we were able to get our top 3. And I feel like, Tom Fang and Daniel Tran, I think Tom Fang brings a ton of experience. I think that I can already think of creative ways that I can put him into the sequence and that he can create a lot of damage. And I think Daniel Tran, he's excited. He's young. He's like a developmental player. I can see him being cultivated on the team and being used in subsequent seasons. And then, of course, our foundational players, Damian, Alex, and Daniele, who are just not only great players, but great teammates. So I think not only have we created a team that's very strong, but we can use them in a variety of situations, and we have a really, really great cultural fit to make sure that we're all moving in the right direction with the same vision.
Eric, I think you have another great team looking forward, but I'm going to go because we've got another person on the clock now. I want to wish you the best of luck, but what a great set of selections you're able to pull off today.
Eric, thanks for joining us. Sean, we've reached the end of the draft. We got one pick left. And Flint Lane, do the honor.
With the 31st and final pick, any guesses, Evan, Sean? Free agent to start last year.
Top a day.
Seattle Spinners have selected Sonora Silva with the final pick of the draft.
Excellent choice for sure with how Sonora was able to make the most of the opportunity, not only playing for Princeton, but playing for the Blasters. So he'll be the first three-team player that we've had, but I think excellent choice by Seattle to add young gun, Sri Lanka national champion, Texas Wesleyan, collegiate national champion, the team event. Well done.
Yeah, Sri Lanka represented by the letters LKA would not have been my guess, but I get it. Luba Sadovska helped to bring us home. You got Piste Vivarelli in your first couple of picks. Then you add Montero with a high rating from Brazil, and Sonora will play for his third team in the league. He's almost halfway to having a jersey from every team at this point. Luba, there is no clock anymore, so breath and give us your thoughts on how today unfolded. How did today pair with and confound your expectations coming into it?
Thanks, Evan. I definitely had some other picks in my mind as well, but then I had a backup. I think I had a great backup. So in my choices, I believe right now I have the very balanced team, and I know that it will probably continue with me in the season 2. I had the youngsters last year. Now I'm going more with the veterans of table tennis, I would say, and I'm going with the experience, but I believe that we have a really great energy in our team.
Yeah, it definitely seems with Cole being the strongest player that we've had on the Western Conference, that you've balanced things out. Again, with Olajide qualifying for Paris this past weekend, you've got Audie, who's on the bubble, who might be chosen to go to Paris as well. Just a really nice team of older experience, but then also some very hungry young players, especially with Andrew, Audie, and Sonora.
I believe so as well. And again, it's the energy in Seattle Spinners team that I really, really love right now for the season 2.
Luba, what was it about competing against Sonora and seeing him just continue to churn out results against virtually everyone that he went up against that made you want to add him to your team with your final pick?
I was already saying that in season 1. I said, like, I wish I knew Sonora's game before, as well as I have known him in Major League. So with his attitude and respect for the game, respect for his teammates, and fighting for every single ball, I think he's going to be a great addition. I have no doubt about him.
Good deal. That'll do it for the draft. Luba, thanks for joining us, and look forward to seeing you in the fall. All right, Sean, let's take a look at the big board one last time. There were 31 open slots less than 2 hours ago, and now that the rosters are set, it's possible that we could see some free agents impact the season. Of course, we saw that this year with both Sonora and Nishant Labaka, but among others. Is there a team, Sean, that you can isolate as the team that you feel had the best day?
Well, I really like what happened with the Gold Rush. I think getting Satoshi and Eugene, those are two super high quality picks. But the other thing, just listening to all the coaches in our final interviews, all the coaches love their picks. I think everyone, because of the depth of the draft, they were able to fill their needs and balance out their team. So, I mean, from Portland, that has some Swedes, but also some very strong Chinese players, clearly the number one pick going to the Crocs. I mean, how exciting is that going to be for the first East Coast match with Liam there? But then the Wind grabbing Emmanuel Lebeson. I was surprised. I thought Eric might have to start early and get females and Americans. He flipped it around, went super strong, and then filled in at the back, kind of did the backfill with US eligible players. It just across the board, every team looks so strong on paper. So waiting to see who can go and try to knock off the smash will be just season 2. Can't wait for it to start.
Well, the upcoming calendar for Major League Table Tennis with the draft now in the books. August 2nd, table tennis will be back on ESPN, part of the ESPN Ocho Day extravaganza, which has become an annual celebration of different sports in Rock Hill, South Carolina. The start of the 24-25 season to be announced this summer. It will begin in September. Please subscribe to MLTT on YouTube and follow on Instagram and all the other socials. Also, MLTT.com will be your home for post-draft news and notes as we get set to count down the days to the start of season 2. Before we say so long, let's bring in the commissioner, Flint Lane, one more time. Flint, I'm curious if you have any big picture observations from what you've seen today from the 8 coaches, and anything to say to the 31 players that'll be joining MLTT. I guess 29 players that'll be joining for the first time, with Daniel Tran and Sonora Silva being returning selections.
Well, it's still surreal for me to think that, 15 months ago, this league didn't even exist, and now we're attracting this level of world-class players from around the world. So thank you all for signing up for the draft. For those that were selected, welcome to Major League Table Tennis. For those that weren't selected, I hope we see you next year as we think to expand the league from 8 teams to perhaps 12 or even 16. On behalf of our team who worked really hard to pull off this live event, thank you so much for that. But thank you guys. You did a great job, Evan, Sean. Really appreciate it.
Our pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you, Flint. Sean, quick final thoughts as we head towards the fall. Texas won it last year. Carolina was the best team all season long. Who's your dark horse pick for 2025?
I'm going to go non-committal because it is just loaded. We have so many teams. I'm going to cheer in my heart for Portland because I live here. But wow, what a draft we had today. I mean, just with Liam starting it to Daniel Tran finishing it, just great players across the board. And thankfully, we've got the best in the house for Major League Table Tennis at the commentary desk.
Yeah, what a colorful picture to wrap up our show. Thanks to all 8 coaches for being here, and thanks to all the fans and supporters around the world who have joined us for these couple of hours to welcome the next batch of Major League Table Tennis superstars. Again, Ocho Day coming up early August, the season schedule coming soon, and the season will launch in September. For everyone was associated with Major League Table Tennis, and for my broadcast partner, Sean O'Neill, for the Commish Flint Lane, I'm Evan Lepler with the privilege and the honor of saying so long. Thank you for joining us for the second ever Major League Table Tennis Draft, the first live one. And we look forward to seeing you in September for the second season of MLTT. So long, everybody.
Awesome job, everybody. Wow, what great picks. Like,
wow.
I don't know, like some of the teams, it's going to be just loaded, the matches. And I had forgotten to mention that we have